and just wanted to welcome everyone to our Thrive in 30 Making a Plan, Time Management, and Course Correction. We have our amazing executive functioning team here. So you have Jenna, Melanie, and Brooke that make up our team, and we're so thankful to have all of their expertise here. Like I said, I am going to be recording this, which it'll live on our website, which we'll email out so that you can watch it later. But we have a wonderful presentation prepared for you and are excited to talk about all the things that are on your mind. So thank you for submitting questions. Thank you for showing up, and we're here to help. So I'm going to turn it over to the team now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Barovic. Thank you for making the time to come out and take part in this webinar. We're going to be talking about making a plan, time management, and course correction. A little bit of my background before we get into that. I have a master's degree in social work. Most of my career involves counseling, and my passion really is with kids and students. And I fell into private prep, or I joined private prep about almost a year ago. And I'm just so excited to be here and really be a part of this webinar, especially with talking about time management, because I do find that I can be quite good at it. So thank you for allowing me to share on this. The first thing we're going to be talking about is maintaining a daily calendar. Often we would hope or wish or expect that our students can maintain and follow a daily, weekly, monthly calendar. There are some difficulties with maintaining a daily calendar that I wanted to highlight before we kind of talk about all of this. So the first one is when tasks take longer than expected and we start to run out of time. The other one is feeling overwhelmed or stressed, especially with everything that's going on right now. I mean, let's be real, COVID-19 is totally crazy. Starting school, virtual, not virtual, half days, not half days, everything looks different everywhere. And it's kind of like this whole, where do I even start with a calendar? What takes priority, and especially, with just managing the time in general. One resource that private prep uses that I really do want to highlight here is the prioritization piece. We talk about some different strategies to do this. The one that I feel most comfortable and I feel works very well is the ABC prioritization list, and it kind of just goes in order of the A status items being very high priority. Usually these are the tasks that we have on our daily calendar or weekly or monthly that have very specific deadlines. They have a very high priority and they're pretty critical. Then we can look at the B status items. These are more of the should do. They have more of a medium priority. They are still important, but maybe the deadline is a little bit further, and we don't, it's more of a should do, but it's not due tomorrow sort of thing. And then we have our C status items, which are more nice to do. They're low priority. There's not so much of a consequence if they're left undone in the moment. And the reason I bring this up is because to create an effective schedule, we have to prioritize all of these different things that we're expected to do, and then schedule them, and then figure out how to balance them with time efficiency. So what exactly do we believe, or what exactly would come up on a daily activity for a student that they would have to prioritize? A lot of self-care, that even gets down to the nitty-gritty, like taking a shower, hygiene, brushing your teeth, getting ready in the morning, whatever your sleep routine looks like, getting ready for sleep, and how long you're actually sleeping. Some of our students we find maybe sleep too much, maybe oversleep, and some students maybe aren't getting enough sleep, and it starts to affect their daily lives and how effective just their day is in general and how much energy they have. Obviously, there's also balancing the academics. School is definitely starting, and a lot of academic responsibilities are coming our way, whether that's homework, studying, projects, going to school, figuring out just the school schedule in general. all of these things we have to balance. And then if you throw in the tutoring sessions, the coaching sessions, where do those fall in regards to when we're still balancing all of our other responsibilities? And, you know, going into the extracurriculars, whether it's soccer practice or, you know, joining a club, all of these things our students are learning to balance. And of course we want them to balance these things on their own. But at first they might need a little bit of help, right? And then if you really throw in the household duties, I don't know if families here give their students or kids chores to do at home, or just things that they're expected to do while they are home, balancing that into the day. And then I really kind of do want to stress the family and friends aspect into balancing the daily activities, especially right now. I think it is super important to be balancing in friends and family time. During a time like this, we all kind of have to work together, and we have to find time to engage in activities that are meaningful, not just academically or, you know, getting house chores done, but also things that we enjoy. It's super important to put that into our daily or weekly schedule, because we want to feel like our lives still have meaning, even though there's such a huge change going on. With balancing these activities, it might take some trial and error. A couple times forgetfulness might come into play. It will come with ebbs and flows. Where, you know, I know for me, I'm either really good at balancing my time or I'm really struggling. There's not so much of a happy medium, and I strive to be really good with it. But we're all human. We're going to forget sometimes, and things are just going to come and go. However, the first step to anything is really becoming aware of how much time each of these daily activities that these students are balancing take. I usually suggest a simple activity for students to do, and it's almost like a T-chart. Well, it is a T-chart. The left side of it is really filled with all of the daily activities and expectations for all of the days of the week, what actually needs to be done. And next to that would be filled in with how long your child expects these things to take. So a really simple example would be taking a shower. Maybe your child or student thinks that they'll take, 5 or 10 minutes to take a shower, right? So this is on the left side. The right side is filled with recordings of how long each task actually took. So here, your student or child would be actually timing themselves with all of the daily activities that they're expected to do. So let's say that 5 or 10 minute expected shower is actually 20 minutes. That 20-minute would then go on the right side of the chart. And the child or student would fill this in with all of their daily activities to really start understanding the time that they're putting in to everything that they're expecting themselves to do. And becoming aware of how we utilize our time, that's when we're able to evaluate, maybe I should be spending more time doing this and less time doing this, etc. But the first step to anything is just to become aware. So this is a really simple activity for a student to become aware of where they are utilizing their time and how long. So once we have this awareness of time, right, I have the right side of this slide as a puzzle. It's a completed puzzle. All of the pieces are in the correct place to create this overall vision of what this puzzle is supposed to look like at the end. When we're working with time management, we often have a vision of what we're working towards in order to achieve some sort of goal. Goal and vision for me specifically, I almost use interchangeably, because when I'm working towards a long-term goal, it really is like this vision of how I want things to look. And when we're creating this vision, we're utilizing different skills with following components. We're utilizing different components to build into this vision. The first one being skills. So we ask ourselves, what are our strengths? I know for me, I consider myself to be very organized. So when I'm thinking about this overall vision that I'm trying to achieve, I know that organization will be a strength that I'll be able to use. We also, look at different strategies. We can have the same exact goal and the same exact vision that we're all working towards, but each plan might look a little bit different. We have to be aware and open-minded to different strategies of getting to that vision, right? Different students learn different ways and just have different processes of getting to their overall goal, right? And then we build upon this thing called task monitoring, and it's really being able to consider your progress toward this vision. Really asking yourself, are you able to generate ideas and problem solving methods? Are we making progress in general towards where we want to get? And then that's followed by self-assessment, where, you know, it's this really cool way to practice metacognition, which is really just becoming aware of what is going well, what is going wrong. Do I have all the materials for this vision, or is something missing? Am I running out of time? Leading us to time management. Do I need to use a timer in order to accomplish these specific little pieces to the puzzle in order to create the overall vision? Do I need to map out specific times to work on tasks to achieve this vision? And ultimately, we want to have a consistent routine that's beneficial. Are the resources and actions that we're taking, are these little puzzle pieces enough to complete the task and achieve the overall vision on time? So there is a blog that goes along with this overall topic of time management and course correction. And the example used in that blog is looking at a home renovation project. So let's say we want to build this new bathroom, right? So the first thing that we do is we envision exactly what we want, which is the new bathroom. The completed puzzle piece in this scenario would be the new bathroom, right? And we, in order to build upon this vision, in utilizing these components of skills, task monitoring, self-assessment, time management, and routine, these are the things that can build up on the puzzle pieces to create this whole vision. We'll get into some other examples as well that include academic examples, but just to have something abstract to look at, we'll use the blog example. So if we keep going, and we talk about chunking this vision, right? And all of these puzzle pieces that are creating this overall goal. Chunking, we use chunking, and it's a very common thing to use in the executive functioning process. And all it really means in a simple way is breaking down the content into smaller, more manageable pieces that are easy to identify and understand. Here, we're kind of looking more at the puzzle pieces versus the total completed project. So if we tie this in with a home renovation example from the blog, we're then identifying the resources that we might need in order to achieve this finished bathroom. I hope that this is making sense. We identify the resources such as ordering and arrival of materials as a puzzle piece. How many employees do we need to get this project totally done as another puzzle piece? And especially we're going to be talking about how much time that each bit will take. All of these little pieces consist of chunking this big vision into something smaller, more manageable steps to finally get there. Once we come up with those steps, we then follow those steps and we talk about something called working backwards, which is really looking at the final puzzle as a whole and then breaking it down into the puzzle pieces. We break down the final product into its components. We follow the steps, we work backwards, and again, we start with the whole picture that we want to portray. Example, the total finished bathroom, the total finished home renovation project, and then we chunk the final product into its components. Once we have all of those components, we follow that schedule and calendar because we're able to put it in there. Another example, if we want to get a little bit talking more about academics that a student may face, is completing an essay or a project. We read the directions, we find out the main idea of what this essay is asking us for or what the project has to look like, and we're reviewing the overall goal, and then we break it into small parts to effectively complete the task at hand. Once those small parts are then highlighted, we're able to put them into the calendar. And I'll give an example. I have a student right now who has this, she starts school next week, and she has this summer reading assignment that is also attached to an essay that she has to write. We looked at the overall assignment and what the essay instructions were actually asking for, and we were looking at the overall picture of what she had to do. And to make it into more manageable parts, she told me how many pages she had left of this project, or of the book rather, to read. And then she told me exactly what the essay consisted of. She needed 3 paragraphs of 3 different topics asking specific questions. So we were able to break that down into how many pages she should be reading a day, putting that into her daily calendar, and then also break it down to being able to be able to write on 1 topic per day for 3 days, because there were 3 different topics, and then leave a day in order for her to proofread and check for mistakes. This was a really good example for me in thinking about time management, because we were able to look at the overall picture. We were able to see the components of, you're going to have to finish the reading, and you're going to have to brainstorm about what this essay is going to be about, and then you're going to have to complete the essay, and then of course check back for mistakes. And in that, it sounds so overwhelming, but when you chunk it and you break it down into small manageable tasks, it became so much more realistic for her to complete. When we put these things on the calendar, we estimate how much time each task will take, and then we have to be prepared to move them around, right? And this is where we're going to start talking about course correction, because we never know what unforeseeable setbacks can occur. So what happens when plans go awry, right? Something goes wrong and we need to get back on track. That is what we label as course correction. There's power in course correction being built into the plan itself, right? And what do we do when something goes wrong? We reevaluate. We first ask ourselves, well, what is it exactly that went wrong, and how can I go about getting back on track? Because the goal is still the same. We prioritize with everything that's going on, what is next, what is most realistic for me to get back on task. We maybe need to bring out that ABC prioritization that we mentioned in the beginning of this webinar. We definitely take a deep breath, and we definitely challenge the stressors and the interruptions. This goes into avoiding distractions. I know for me, when I have a really big expectation on myself to get something done, and then something gets in the way and it's totally putting me back, I can often beat myself up, or I can become stressed about how I'm going to finish it, or just totally make a really big deal. That for me can be my setback. And I have to take a deep breath and challenge these things with like, no, I can get back on track. The goal is still the same. Maybe it's just going to take a little bit of a different outlook or a different strategy. So that's when we adapt to a new schedule and we plan with the same goal in mind. The blog example, right? When we're talking about redoing a bathroom or, a home renovation project, something that can really throw this off is what happens if material doesn't arrive on time? What happens if an employee calls out sick? Or what if time is just going by too quickly and the job is not moving as fast as we expected? That's when we take another approach, right? We look elsewhere for material, we ask for more time, maybe we need to get a substitute employee. This is the kind of thought process that we want to be encouraging our kids to do with their schedules and their academics and what they're balancing on their daily calendars and weekly calendars. Excuse me. So flexibility is just super, super necessary to incorporate into managing our time, because we just never know what's going to happen. We could even look at something like COVID-19 that the whole entire world is going through, right? This is like one of the biggest unforeseeable setbacks that we've had. But if we think about the goal, right, with school starting back up, like I was really thinking about this before. And with school starting back up, the goal is still the same. We still want our students to get as much help as they need, or we still want them to get the credits that they need. We still want them to graduate, and we still want them to get the information that they would have if school wasn't going virtual and all these things were changing. So, right, so we're prioritizing what needs to happen, and we're adapting to a brand new schedule with the same overall puzzle, goal, vision in mind. It just looks different. But some Setbacks, they can be as serious as COVID-19. It can be a family emergency, or it can even be something as simple as, I have this really great vision of cooking my fiance's favorite dinner, and I get out all the ingredients and I realize that we ran out of salt and now I can't make the dinner, and like it's totally getting in the way, but I adapt, right? And I say, okay, well, I'll just go to the food store tomorrow. This is okay, because the goal is still that we're going to have dinner tonight. It's just going to be a different dinner. That's just what course correction is, right? So we manage our time. We have a vision, and we have to be open to maybe different perspectives on how to get that done. I can also imagine COVID-19, the effects not only being hard on the students with course correction, but also on the parents. I know a lot of parents are working from home, some not. But some kids are not old enough to watch themselves or monitor themselves through school. Some kids really need extra help. Now parents are, do I have to hire somebody to help with virtual learning? It's so much of applying a different outlook to still achieve the same goal, to get like an enriched school experience. Other setbacks can be illness, double booking. Maybe you scheduled a coaching session for the same time that your student has soccer practice and you didn't realize. What do? We prioritize which one really needs to happen, and then we call or we reschedule the one that might have a little bit less priority. It's still going to happen, but we manage our time effectively and we readapt. Another setback could be a disappointing grade. Maybe a student takes an exam, they think that they did really well, they get the grade back and it's not up to par with what they were hoping for. And, the thoughts come in of being less motivated, or what's the point, or, feeling really disappointed, challenging those thoughts in the course correction and avoiding the distraction and really just getting back on track. A setback can be any interruption, whether it's big or small, that's getting in the way of progress, of moving forward. Excuse me. So finally, we're going to get to the time management toolbox. So the first thing that's brought up here is tracking your time. This was brought up in the beginning with the T chart. I'm sorry, I have such a tickle in my throat. With the two-sided T chart, one side, again, being filled with academic or home expectations for all days of the week, what needs to be done, along with how long your child expects the task to take. And then actually timing yourself and using the other side of that T chart to record how long each task actually took, to start really becoming aware of how long things are taking. After that awareness comes with figuring out where our time is going, we then create goals. And after reviewing this chart, we can help our child to make goals for how long they feel they should be spending on each task that is listed. We create these goals with our kids. I'm really big on not setting goals for the student, but inviting the student into that process to create that goal, because it increases their level of motivation and investment. And we really do it as a collaborative process. And once these goals are created, we then use a timer for these daily activities. If your child, like the first example was taking a shower, they maybe thought it would take 5 or 10 minutes. It really took 20 minutes. Now maybe it's time to bring even if it's to bring a timer into the bathroom, and, they know how long that they should be taking a shower, because they don't want to lose time on doing something else that can be a little bit more valuable or a little bit more of a priority. You can use a timer. If your child is doing homework and let's say they're stuck on a question and they feel, they're using a timer on how long they should take on each subject, and they feel like they need an extra 10 minutes, maybe, they say, okay, well, I'm going to set an extra 10 minutes for this specific subject, and then I will move on. And if I feel like I can't move on, maybe after that second timer is set, that's when they're going to commit to then emailing their teacher and asking for help, and then transitioning to the next task. timers are super, super effective because our time is valuable. Your students' time is valuable. There are so many activities that our students are juggling, and we want to make sure that everything is getting the correct amount of time that it deserves. Which brings me to my next: incorporating strategic placement of clocks. Visual reminders can help kids keep track of how much time has passed while completing important tasks. Last webinar that Brooke led talked a lot about physical space, and hopefully the students that are doing virtual learning have their very own physical space where they are, you know, it's just their space to be able to complete the tasks during school. I suggest, even though that their Chromebook or their laptop might have a clock on it, I would still put a physical clock there, because it's just another visual reminder of how important time is, and, you know, to be aware of how the time is being utilized. Next, leading us to encouraging self-reflection. When your child's day or week does not go as planned, have a conversation with them. This is going to happen, especially with all of these changes going on. Questions to ask your child might include: what got you off track? Did you feel distracted? What exactly was distracted you? And especially, what could we do next time this happens to stay on track or get you back on track? This helps with kids being able to build upon self-awareness and really analyze their learning process. And the biggest one for me is really to stay calm and stay supportive of your child. When you or your child become overwhelmed as time runs out or goes too quickly, acknowledge and validate the feeling before adapting and transitioning. We're all in this together. We don't want to cause more stress for ourselves or for the student or the child. We want them to feel heard, and we want them to feel, you know, like what they're feeling is a real feeling. This stuff is stressful. Learning how to maintain time and a calendar and a planner and really be effective with time management and course correction can be it can be an overwhelming process, and it does take practice. So we want to acknowledge and validate what they're feeling, and then we adapt, and then we transition to a plan. Stress is normal, and it can be worked through as part of developing a strong course correction mentality. That is the toolbox that I have for you guys, and we do have about 2 minutes if anybody has any questions. Or if Brooke and Jenna, if you wanted to add anything that I missed.
I think you did great. I don't have a lot to add, unless people have lingering questions.
Feel free to write in the chat if you have any questions, and we can answer those. I don't think we have any. Or, as usual, our executive functioning team is here for you, so you can respond to the email that Jenna sends out, which will also include links to our webinar pages, so you can see all of the things that our wonderful team has done. And we have one more that's going to be next Wednesday, so we encourage you to join that as well, or check out our blogs. But if we don't have any questions, I just want to thank our amazing executive functioning team. They put a lot of time and effort into helping us kind of navigate this space. So we really appreciate it, and thank all of you for spending your evenings with us. We really appreciate it, and look forward to helping out. So thanks, team.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.